The Premier League has accused Manchester City of the greatest offence in the history of the competition, with over 100 accusations leveled at the defending champions. So, what have they allegedly done now? Let's get into what we know so far, which, to be honest, might not be as much as you hope. I can't deliver a verdict, basically, is what I'm saying, but I've been doing a ton of reading and collecting sources which have been linked below for your viewing pleasure. I won't bang on about this part, but as you'll remember, UEFA investigated Manchester City for breaches in financial fair play, including trying to disguise cash injections from their ownership group as sponsorship payments, most notably the payments from Etisalat and Etihad. After an investigation, UEFA ended up delivering a verdict back in February of 2020 that City would be fined 30 million euros, as well as a ban from European competitions for 2 full years. Well, Manchester City took this to the Court of Arbitration for Sport and ultimately won, in quotations, their appeal, as the 30 million euro penalty was brought down to 10 million euros, and they were still allowed to continue on in European competitions. What was the 10 million euros for? Not complying with UEFA during the investigation. However, the Court of Arbitration for Sport deemed that, quote, most of the alleged breaches were either not established or time-barred. 2 of the most important payments that were at the crux of UEFA's case were time-barred, as they occurred in 2012 and 2013 respectively. Thus, they were not eligible for their case, and thus the feeling by many was that City got off on a technicality. Had the case been a few years earlier, then there would have been likely a different outcome, but we can't say that for sure, of course, so we'll just say there could have potentially been a very different outcome. So basically, UEFA's smoking gun with the 2012 and 2013 payments was time-barred, while the CAS deemed everything else that wasn't time-barred were not established, aka they did not have enough evidence to prove wrongdoing. The overall feeling was that UEFA were underprepared and undermined their own case in some respects, while many point to the time bar being a way for City to be proven innocent on a technicality, as mentioned earlier. I mean, plenty of people had suspected that City's finances have been a bit screwy for some time. The whole where there's smoke, there's fire thing, how the smoking gun for UEFA was then time-barred, thus leading to a City victory on a technicality as some saw it, how City apparently make more money than clubs with much larger global names than them, clubs such as Liverpool, Man United, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, etc. According to them, they generate more revenue than all of them. Not to mention, I'm sure most of you have heard about the strange happenings regarding City's crypto sponsor, 3Key, as it didn't have a website, or it was seemingly hard to find any sort of information on them at all. And then there's their other sponsor, 8xBet, who their CEO had a fake LinkedIn profile, stock images, the Facebook page was run from the United Arab Emirates. There's a YouTube channel where Teddy Sheringham would provide analysis, etc., to the tiniest of audiences. I mean, there's a lot of weird things going on with their sponsors again. So there are plenty of reasons why someone would look at City's finances and think, something seems a bit off. It's the old where there's smoke, there's fire, but last time when UEFA discovered the fire, it was time-barred. This time around, the Premier League has announced that they have charged Manchester City with not 1, not 2, but over 100 different breaches of the Premier League's financial regulations. That's a lot of regulations, man. Also, it should be noted that this investigation has been ongoing for 4 years now, as the Premier League began this investigation in March of 2019. So it will be 4 years and 1 month, technically. Yes, I know. The span of these breaches is said to have occurred from the 2009-10 season until the 2017-18 season, with the Premier League accusing them of not providing accurate financial information for the seasons mentioned. But it doesn't stop there. City are accused of not disclosing managerial remuneration for 4 years, while Roberto Mancini was in charge of the club. And on top of all of this, the Premier League has accused Manchester City of not providing them with full details of remuneration in its relevant contracts from 2010-11 to 2015-16. They also, it doesn't end there, alleged that Man City did not comply with UEFA's financial fair play regulations in 2013-14, as well as from 2014-15 to 2017-18. To all of this, City made a statement saying, quote, Manchester City FC is surprised by the issuing of these alleged breaches of the Premier League rules, particularly given the extensive engagement and vast amount of detailed materials that the EPL has been provided with. The club welcomes the review of this matter by an independent committee Commission to impartially consider the comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence that exists in support of its position. As such, we look forward to this matter being put to rest once and for all. Now, additionally, they have been charged with non-compliance, which is something that goes against what City mentioned in their statement, as they say that they've handed over tons of documents to the Premier League during the 4-year investigation and have been in regular contact with them, so I guess we'll see what happens there, their word against theirs. The documents that the Premier League say that City have been non-compliant about have not been made public. However, they do indeed extend beyond the initial 9-year period that we have spoken about, with the Premier League saying that they also have been non-compliant surrounding document requests from the 2018-19 season to the present season, actually, a 5-year period. Well, all of this will be taken to a commission that is set up by the Premier League's judicial panel. The members of the commission will be appointed by the independent chair of the Premier League judicial panel. The proceedings before the commission will, in accordance with Premier League Rule W.82, be confidential and heard in private. Under Premier League Rule W.82.2, the commission's final award will be published on the Premier League's website. No timelines yet, so stay tuned there. As far as what the potential punishments could be for City, well, that depends on a wide range of things. First off, if they are even guilty of any of the things that they have been charged of course, but also the severity of their alleged actions, which leads to a wide range of potential punishments for them from the independent commission. As Sky Sports has made note of, these punishments could include suspension from playing games, point deductions, replay matches, expulsion from the league, compensation, cancel or refuse players' registration, conditional punishment, fines, make such order as it thinks. You also have some speculating, and it's just that speculation, that titles could be rolled back and retroactively awarded to the teams that finished runners-up to Manchester City during the 9-year period they are being investigated for. Likelihood of that, I really don't know. Imagine taking the importance of that iconic Aguero goal away from 2012. Yowza, that would be a mess. Also, City will not be able to appeal this to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, as they could with the UEFA allegations. So on top of all of this, according to one writer, Mr. Simon Mullock of Mirror Sport, he claims that City are very, very confident that they can prove that not only did they have all of the documents to prove that their innocence from their UEFA case was not just from a technicality, aka they have the documents to prove that they did nothing wrong in 2012 and 2013, but they also are confident they can prove their innocence against the Premier League, with some of said confidence being drawn from this, as Mullock wrote. The club's legal team also noticed that a significant number of the charges and the regulations they breached were incorrectly notified on the original announcement and were later altered by the Premier League. If that is indeed true, then are we heading toward another fumble from those who are trying to prove wrongdoing against Manchester City, as UEFA fumbled previously? Well, according to Stefan Borson, or SLBSN on Twitter, a known lawyer and City supporter, he says that it may not matter, as he said that legally this won't have much bearing on the case, and going further to explain himself, he said, quote, "Honestly, these quotes are embarrassing given the likely sources. It's like being accused of robbing a bank and laughing when the indictment erroneously uses euros rather than pounds." He says that it basically means nothing. So I've linked to his account below, but as a well-known City fan and also a high court lawyer, him being nervous about this says a lot. The fact that the Premier League have taken so much time for this, 4 years, and how they have gone with over 100 different allegations leads Stefan Borson being more nervous about the potential outcomes of this case than he was about the CAS hearings. On top of that, he has noted that given the incredibly serious nature of these allegations, he finds that it would be ill-suited for the commission to make any decisions and believe that this will be fought in some other court for many, many years. In fact, back in 2021, he wrote an article on this situation. So if despite all the resistance, difficulties, and hurdles, the PL decide to lay serious charges against City, this could yet move glacially on for many more years, with the only real winners being those 50 lawyers that Al Mubarak promised to make rich. He also mooted that this could take around 3 years for conclusions to be made and punishments to be handed out. Part of this is because Manchester City are going to try to slow things down as much as possible, as the Premier League said to the commercial court once, quote, For the Premier League, it was submitted that the tactic that the club has adopted has been to make as many procedural applications and complaints as it possibly can to slow the day when it will actually have to provide the information. So, you can probably expect that City and their vast team of lawyers will adopt a similar sort of tactic to try and slow this down as much as possible. But on top of this, City's side feel like the timing of this announcement from the Premier League is a little bit fishy, given that there will soon be a white paper report from the UK government on whether football is capable of governing itself. Skeptics that are of a City persuasion will point to how they are only doing this as a show of how they can indeed govern themselves. But in my opinion here, just my opinion, to minimize over 100 accusations to just a show of how they can govern themselves, that seems like a stretch. In my opinion, it feels like it's much more than that. But I guess we'll see. City are saying that they are very confident that they will be able to prove their innocence, while the Premier League will be confident that they can prove they are guilty. It is telling to me that someone like Stefan Borson, a City fan and High Court lawyer, isn't feeling very confident about this at the time being. But given we are still incredibly early in the process, it's far too early to draw any kinds of conclusions. I'll definitely keep you updated, but the next update will likely be what the ruling is, so I wouldn't hold your breath. Don't do that. But thanks for watching, guys. I'm Adrian, and be well.